And we're live. What's up, fellas? We got good old Brendon Long here now on the cast today. How you feeling, Brendon?
Feeling pretty good. Feeling pretty
Hmm
good. Had a nice day.
Yeah, bro. I was saying to really anyone who asked me, this has been like the best day of my life so far. No bullshit.
Dang, bro.
Yeah, bro.
That's
Tommy hit me
good.
up talking
Good.
about the podcast affected him in a weird ass way. Like he said, he literally called me and said he couldn't explain it. And I said that was the point of it all. So
Yeah,
and then yeah, then I hit you up. You were able to get on. Tommy couldn't get on, so glad you're here. Uh,
I appreciate it.
K-
I'm glad to be here.
KD, how we feeling?
Shit, bro, I'm great, dude. Been a long time since I was fucking this excited about something. But I'm here and excited. I'm ready to go. Looking
Yeah,
forward to
yeah, man. So normally we're filming early, bright and early. Today I had work, so we couldn't do that. It's 9 p.m. now, and everyone was down. Or 9 p.m. for me. It's 8 over there for them, and everyone was still down. It's that weird thing. Like when I called Nelson, he was like, "Yeah, I'll do it right now." Damn near. Yeah, tomorrow morning. That's in 8 hours. I'll be up. Type shit.
it.
So I think, like Taylor said, I think everyone can see our excitement in it, and it's
Yeah.
it's getting contagious. So
Got a
long,
lot of big things planned, bro.
yeah, long. If you want to just kind of talk about what kind of brought you here on the podcast, why you want to be here, who you are more. You know what I'm saying?
All right, cool. So, main reason I kind of wanted to be on the podcast is like I haven't really got to like talk. I think you said it earlier. I haven't really got to talk like into like super deep subjects with you guys before. Like pick your brain about different aspects of, I know you guys did the podcast with Brandon about like spirituality and shit like that, like
Yeah,
perspective. So I wanted to hop on here, kind of have like some deep conversation, deep thought, maybe open my mind up to a little bit of things that I may previously have not, been super open to. And other than that, like if we want to talk about anything that I'm more knowledgeable on, so like say fitness or anything like that, just kind of wanted to be able to, provide knowledge in that aspect too.
yeah, bro. It's always good to get that variety, man. That's why I keep telling Daler, we could get anyone on here and get something out of them. And you got that's your niche, like the or niche, whatever the
Yeah,
fuck it
kind of.
is. That's yours, bro. That's your. So we'll get into that later after we take our turn first. Start
Yeah.
firing some rounds at you. We'll definitely tap into that because I kind of changed my way of lifting recently, and I would kind of like to share that because we haven't talked about it. Taylor tapped into the gym recently too, right?
Y'all already know what it is. Now, I found one on Twitter. It's this dude, and he makes a lot of programs. They're on Substack. His link will be in the description. His name is Bowtied Ox, but he's like this ex-ranger. I mean, dude, he was in the Ranger Battalion, so he's legit. He posts his physique, and the dude's fucking jacked. And he's just a good dude to follow because he keeps it a stack. Like, he's not going to tell you that protein, like a scoop of protein powder, is going to make you, you know, giant. And it's
Yeah,
like,
and make you get
yeah,
some of these. You know what I'm saying?
a little bit more than that. No, so like, I just like him because he's like a straight shooter, man. He just tells you what you need to know and tells you a lot of actionable ways that you can improve. So that's who I've been following for the gym for the last, 6 months. So I've got a little bit of input, and I'd love to be able to add it in when we get.
Dope, dope. So we earlier today at work, I have the luxury of listening to podcasts all day. It's fantastic. So I listened to the podcast, of course. Nelson talked about yesterday with Jocko and Jordan Peterson, and I never thought of this question before, but Jocko said he always gets it, and it's, what do you think is the biggest problem in America? So I think it'd be kind of interesting. Obviously, we all live in America, and we all fought or are fighting for America. You see that flag in that background, son. Uh, but
Right next to the
but yeah,
cooler.
I just kind of want to tap into that because there's deeper problems. It's easy to answer that question. What's the problems in America? What divorce? Divorce numbers are skyrocketed. That's an easy answer. But as Long said, we're gonna try and dig deep here, get a deep conversation. Daler, you kind of want to start it off, or
Yeah, I'll kind of kick it off. So I think it ties in well with the last episode because we talked a little bit about suffering and being grateful in spite of your suffering. And I like that quote specifically because it really it illustrated kind of the necessity to have suffering and kind of like how you can grow with that. And I think that's it's going to sound cliche when I say this, man, but it's like that I think is the biggest problem in America right now is the lack of suffering. And it's kind of a more recent thing now because with inflation being as high as it is, I think we're all suffering a little bit more. Um, but like before, let's say back in 2019 and the years around that, we had it good for a long time. You know, it's like if you could go to school, maybe go to college, get a job that pays you a living wage, hopefully, and then you could theoretically do that for your entire life, you know? And it's like the that's great because it's an easy thing to do, but that doesn't make it a productive thing. And I think it would make it the opposite, if you ask me, because in having such an easy life, you have no suffering. It's just it is what it is. But the issue with that though is like in the lack in an environment where people aren't suffering, they kind of like manufacture something to be mad at pretty much and something to fight against. I think it's kind of human nature to want to fight against something. And I think that's a big problem right now is that we just don't have enough suffering. And as a result, people are soft and then they just kind of manufacture things to get upset about.
Yeah. So, I mean, Long, you got something to add?
I agree to a certain extent about that because like it is 100% in human nature to try to find a problem in things. Like even if there are no problems, we're gonna make one up. So yeah, I
No
like
bullshit.
like I completely agree with that. And I think personally one of the biggest problems in America is social media. Or not necessarily social media itself, but the influence it has on everybody. Because like if you go look at social media, it influences pretty much everything. Like any industry that somebody's in, there's social media there that influences that industry.
Yeah, that kind of
And
ties into our last one because we were talking about algorithms.
Yeah,
yeah, it
and
gets
and you're thinking about how like how we're more connected than we've ever been. I can get a hold of damn near anyone. You know, I can go on Twitter and tweet at any celebrity. I can get a text from
Yeah,
anyone, you know, anything.
yeah, I
But
like that. Yeah.
we're so yeah, we're so connected, but we've never been so isolated. And I'd like to get y'all's opinion on like why we kind of think that that is.
Um, I think it's almost like we're too connected because I could call someone from like you get them telemarketers you already know from halfway across the world. I could do that, but I could also send a message online that's this hateful message that I'm taking out all this hate that I don't like my job, I don't like my life. It's an easy way to just push it all out on someone else that you'll never see. You never have to deal with the confrontation of seeing this person face to face. You can call him a piece of shit, an asshole, whatever you want, and you know there's no
repercussions.
there's no you know what I'm saying? It's just like women. Women Bill Burr had a skit about this. You don't hit women. There's never a reason to hit a woman. Well, I could think of plenty of reasons to hit a woman. You just don't do it. But then he talks about if I was a woman and I knew no one's gonna punch me in the face, I'm talking shit to everybody, bro. Like imagine going to the gym, you know no one's gonna punch you in the face. How much shit you talking? You know what I'm saying? Like
All
if
the
you
shit.
yeah, bro, like if you have that hate in you, you're gonna talk that shit, and especially if there's no consequence to it. So it's almost I guess you could chalk it up to almost accountability. I guess that would be my answer, and I didn't know that until right now. How about that?
What
It's
about you?
almost go ahead, Lon.
Uh, I see like a big disconnect, like you said, from so much connection. Because like we stem so much of our connection with human beings now based off of just looking at your phone and seeing what other people are doing rather than, you know, getting together and doing shit with people, like actually fucking doing shit face to face. So like there's a disconnect there because most of your information that you're getting on like either other people on social media or like maybe even like family and shit like that is through this fucking thing right here. You're not actually, or some of us aren't able to go see our families and shit like that, just because like military or living in completely other like different states and shit. But like, I feel like that's a big part of the disconnect, like you said, is having too much of a connection via social media. Because like you have less reason to like reach out to people
But then,
and
well, so then I'll ask you this, because then if you have this huge connection, why would the connection not be a great one?
be- because of how we are as people.
Yeah, what do you
Because
mean
of
how we are?
what like in the world of social media, you don't necessarily have to be yourself, right? So I could feel like if I had never met you and you portrayed a certain persona to me online, you could still feel a huge disconnect as a person, right? Because like you're trying to connect with me and shit, but if I'm displaying a fake persona or you're displaying a fake persona, there's no real connection there.
Boy, getting
You know what I'm
catfished, huh?
saying? Yeah, essentially like catfish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think a big issue too is like we always use the word connection when we're talking about this subject, right? And I think it's important to distinguish like there can be different qualities of connection, right? So like if we were to meet face to face, we're interacting with each other in person. I would say that that at least has the opportunity to be a high quality connection. I think it's certainly not going to be a low quality
Yeah,
one.
I mean, you could almost put it on a scale from 0 to 10 and just say that that connection could be a fucking 5, but online your potential is almost 0 to 5. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Your potential online
your
to connect to
potential.
someone as you would in person is way different, just because you don't have the that face to
Yeah,
face.
it's like if you're starting off at like a 7 on the connectivity scale, you have the opportunity to go up to a 10. But you really can only go down so far, or else you'll just fucking go away, stop talking to each other. But with social media, you don't really have those kind of quality connections like you do in person. It's hard because like when you send a text message, right? You're literally just getting the words, obviously, but you're not getting that inflection, how that like you can tell by a person's body
Yeah.
language, how they're feeling. So like if you send me a text message, Trevor, I might not understand what your entire message is because I'm only seeing the words of it. I'm not seeing all the nonverbal ways that we communicate.
Yeah.
And I think another big problem too is like we're so connected and we have access to so many people. It's easy for misery to spread. I said last episode that misery loves company. And it's all too easy for me to go to a cynical part of the internet where everyone's pissed off at everything and just kind of like I could start believing in that. It's like we're bound by crappy connections, and then on top of that, we're talking about something that makes us pissed off, and a lot of the times it's a very nuanced conversation that really can't happen over the internet with text, but we're still doing it. And I think a lot of that message kind of gets lost in translation when
Yeah,
that
it,
happens.
it becomes almost meaningless. You can't
Yeah, no,
even
it's like
it really
it's a
does.
low quality conversation, man.
Yeah, that's why when we decided to make this podcast, I decided to do video right away. I didn't even hesitate on it. Cuz even like when I'm talking, I use my hands, I use my face, I smile, like that kind of shit is contagious, especially smiling. It's what I've been told my whole life. So yeah, definitely that face to face. Do you have anything else to add to the problem? Cuz if not, I'd like to dive into what you guys think the solution is.
Okay, no, so I'll kind of get into what I think the biggest problem facing the U.S. is on a little bit more of a broader scale
Okay.
than like necessarily social media. Is I think that's kind of a smaller element of the bigger problem, which to me is that because things have been so easy, it's extremely hard for people to find purpose and meaning in their life when everything just comes so easily. I don't have to fight for food. I got the grocery store. I don't have to fight people. I have, the cops and like I have a gun. I don't have to worry about the internet. I don't have to worry about water. I've got a fucking working toilet in my bathroom. And like the byproduct of that is like we talked about when people don't have a problem or a big issue that they're facing, they make one up.
Yeah,
It's
so
just what we do.
one of the things that I got to thinking, and I misused it last episode. Is the fight or flight mode? It's that you got to think back when we had none of this, like 2,000 years ago, like even cavemen, they only use fight or flight mode. How, like, really think about it? How often? Like
I don't know.
hunting, maybe, attacking like an enemy, maybe. They didn't use it as much as we are using it today. We're generating these things where people are getting so worked up, these fake problems where people are getting so worked up, so angry. We're in this fucking, like, we can't even speak our own thoughts yet. Like, we're speaking out of emotion now. We're getting into this like we're boosting up our adrenaline. We're boosting. I think it's, what is it, cortisol? I hope I'm not using it wrong.
Cortisol,
Right?
your stress hormone.
Yeah. So now we're generating, like, we're using this way too much, and this is why you see people dying so way earlier than the life expectancy should be. Like, we're supposed to be able to live to age, I think it's 130 now.
Get the fuck in.
No bullshit, bro. No bullshit. We have the technology to. You don't think we have the technology to live to 130 right now if you had a kid?
Not
I think we have the technology and the information for someone to input the right substances into their body down to the wire to where that they could 100% live to 130.
They'd be a cyborg then. They wouldn't be a human.
I think you'd have to start, like,
fine, bro. Goddamn.
If you
fine, bro. We'll say 100. Yeah, now I don't even know where I was going. Fuck.
If you were gonna live to be 130, you have to start, like, eating only the right shit from birth.
Yeah, but essentially what I'm saying is you're entering this fight or flight mode more often than you should. So you're using the like the spiritual way to look at it is you're literally using more of your life every day. You're entering this state of adrenaline where you're literally using more of your life in that conversation now, off of this fake shit that you see off of social media and all that shit. So I would have to agree with you on that, because I agree. You got not enough real struggle here in America. I think that's what COVID brought on. It's a real struggle, but I think it's got to be worse than even COVID. But I think COVID did spark it a little bit to where it's, all right, we're kind of over exaggerating our situation. We live in the best country in the world. What are we really getting upset about?
Yeah, and to me, it's important to kind of highlight too. It's not just the stress chemicals that we're, constantly experiencing. It's also the dopamine receptors. Anytime you get a notification on any app, or, there's so many, like, triggers for dopamine right now. It's insane if you actually know what you're looking for. So, like, you got dudes that watch porn. It's like you're just frying your own dopamine receptors, and then, like, they just kind of become desensitized. So you can only get such a happy response from things where you should normally be over the moon excited. Now you're chemically incapable of achieving that.
Yeah.
But no, like on the COVID thing, man, I think you're exactly right. Like, in the absence of a problem, people make one, right? And so for a lot of people, this problem is now deposited just kind of onto them. And it's like, you might not have known that's exactly what you're looking for, but all of a sudden you have a purpose in life, and then that's what I think you still see people, 2 years after, we know what we know about masks, that are deathly afraid to leave their house for whatever reason. And
still
they just wear masks all the time. And you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Driving a car with it on.
Yeah, they're like clinging to this problem, which isn't a problem really for them, but they do it to have a problem.
Long, you got something?
I see what you're saying to that, yeah. I think that goes a lot into people taking, like, the wrong shit too seriously. Like what you said, Taylor, about the how did you put it? You said that we don't have problems right now, really, so we create problems.
Mm-hmm.
So that's exactly what I'm going into, is like people taking those problems, which are created problems, essentially fake problems. They take those and they run with it. They take it too seriously. And that causes issues as a whole for a fuck ton of people, right? Like the people that are still doing the mass shit, there's so many people that are, like, completely freaking out about that and keeping that problem alive when we can move forward as a country and be able to like actually start taking on legitimate issues that are coming up, and that shit's supposed to, like that shit's
Water
dying
under the
down.
bridge, yeah.
Yeah, it's water under the bridge. People are keeping that pertinent when the real pertinent shit is being just that has a veil over it because we're worried about stuff from the past.
Yeah, yeah. The most, yeah, yeah. I see what you're saying. Like basically, I mean, you could kind of tie that in. I'd want to kind of get your opinion on this, Long, because I know it is a big thing in bodybuilding. When you are more stressed, what kind of difference do you see? Can you
You're
tell it? Can you tell by your? Do you know what I'm saying? Can you?
Yeah, it's gonna be in everything when it comes to like if you're super stressed, you have those high cortisol levels, which scientifically like high cortisol levels inhibit other receptors from producing like stuff that's ultimately going to get you gains. And then on top of that, you're super stressed thinking about other stuff or thinking about your performance during a workout. Those cortisol levels are up, and it's going to affect your workout, which is then adding on to that effect of like the inhibition of uh not HGH because you don't produce
Stop.
that. Yeah, inhibition of testosterone. And that actually, yeah, testosterone is directly correlated with your cortisol levels. If they're up, if your testosterone's up, your cortisol will be down and vice versa. So like
Okay.
all that stress from all this like outside shit or like, and stress on you in general in bodybuilding or powerlifting, weightlifting in general, or anything where you're really like putting stress on your body, even work, is going to affect your performance.
Yeah, good.
100%.
I'm glad we tapped in on that, but I will go back because we did skim over the solutions. I do want to hear what you guys think the solution to this problem you think America has is. Because personally, I think I touched on it already. Is I think the solution is to create hard times. So they'll naturally form themselves, obviously, but if you create the hard times and you learn from all the hard times, like you said, you learn from your suffering, you learn from your experiences. I think that's how the whole community will end up growing. And I think that's why COVID spiked this spiritual awakening for a lot of people because that's kind of what they started realizing.
Yeah, I mean, there are some lessons that I think you just have to learn the hard way. Um, and it's unfortunate, that we're kind of programmed like that, but like that's the reality of the situation, man. Like you've got so many people right now that are upset at things that are really not affecting them. Like who the president is, that affects you infinitely less than the local government. And another great example, in my opinion, is BLM and those Antifa groups, right? It's like they're fighting concepts. Like you're fighting systemic racism or fascism in the government. You're never gonna like make a law or arrest a racist or vote a politician out of office and think, oh, well, thank God that's done.
Yeah.
Like thank God racism isn't a thing no more. It's like it's such a great I hate to call it great, but it's such a great kind of fake problem to have because you're never going to end it. It's like your life is just kind of this, endless RPG. And I just think that the only solution to that, man, is hard times. That is what it is.
Well, I'll get you some on that.
No
Uh,
way.
so yeah, to add to that, specifically before I put my 2 cents in, I want to know, do you actually think, and it really does suck to say it, but like, do you actually think America, not as a whole, because you can't get an entire country of people on the same side, but do you think America can unite with each other even in those hard times? Or do you think we're going to create those other problems, like we were just talking about before, those other small problems, to then once again put a veil over that bigger issue? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think I think the solution would.
You want me to go in real quick?
Yeah, go
Let me-
ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So personally, I think it's a tough one because I think it would lead to the collapse of the U.S. But I just think that there are some groups that cannot reconcile their differences. I can't see anyone in college right now saying, "Oh, I hate Trump, but for the greater good of the U.S. and my fellow man, I'm going to put that difference beside me and actually unite. I don't think that you have that kind of, greater purpose for us all to unite around. It'd have to be like a world war or
Yeah,
something.
I don't think now
Insane.
would be the time to unite over that. Like, yeah, like you said, World War II united. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's just
Vietnam even united.
Vietnam completely. I mean, to a certain
Yeah,
extent.
you got a whole group of people that was left in the dust. The whole like the hippies, all those people. Those all that came out of nowhere. Like that united all of them. Like you said, it did separate a lot of people, but it also united a lot of them. I don't think there's an event that will happen because of all the evil that's already happened and the evil that obviously we've all seen. I don't think that I think essentially we've seen the potential of evil. Obviously, it can get worse. I mean, I'm sure man will create more worse evil, but I think there's nothing too great to where people will set their differences aside, like Taylor said. I think it's
Yeah.
too divided right now, and I think the solution is this podcast. You know what I'm saying? I think the solution is getting down to the nitty gritty and talking about the issues with an open mind, being able to express your opinion while also not getting scrutinized or fucking talked down on, or even cut
but
off.
that's my problem though, is that one side refuses to talk to the other one. I have seen hundreds of videos where conservatives will go on college campuses and they'll get run off, they'll get attacked, they will get assaulted, you'll get shit thrown at them. And I don't know if it's possible to compromise with people who refuse to let you speak and refuse to actually listen to you and try and understand where you're coming from. Not necessarily agree with everything that you say, but there needs to be a good faith attempt at realizing that there are other opinions and that it's not necessarily a bad thing for other people to disagree with you.
Yeah, it's at some point you have to be able to give somebody the floor and allow them to speak their opinion on whatever subject it may be.
Because I mean, the other option is tyranny. Plain and simple. The other option is I shove this information down your throat. You don't say anything. You accept it, and then you get COVID. The whole U.S. is shut down because you got this fake thing. It's tyranny. If you can't speak your opinion, you're literally forced to shut up. Whatever it is, if it's society pointing fingers at you or whatever it is, that leads into another topic is resilience in adverse or resilience. Fuck, Jesus Christ, Taylor, say it.
It's
Resilience
like,
in the face of adversity, right?
yeah, it's something that you need to have, man, but it's like, what do you do with what we currently have? The way I see it is there is really only like one option aside from us all coming together, which I don't think is going to happen, is like a civil war or a kind of divorce. And I don't see either of those two working out well for anyone. I think it's like a knee-jerk reaction. And really all you kind of need to look at to show how divided we are is the elections right now. Because the elections historically have not been within a 1 point margin of each other. In 1984, Ronald Reagan won every state except for one. I can like literally I think it was New Hampshire or Delaware. Every single state, including California, New York, all the blue states, won all of them, but only lost one. And I could not in a million years see that happening.
It's because of that division. Like,
That's yeah.
yeah,
That
it's a huge amount of people. You got half of America who wanted to vote Trump for another 4 years. Then you got the other half of America that was like, nah, fuck Trump, fucking Joe Biden. And like just so many people fucking voting for
and it's
exactly what they believe in or what they think they're supposed to believe.
yeah, and
Right.
it's at a sad point to where it's black or white. There's no gray.
No,
Yeah.
I think it's a great thing to talk about though, real quick, is like they vote how they're supposed to vote, but it's like supposed to according to who. And the way our kind of media algorithms work, how they show you what you want to see, and generally things that you agree with, is it breeds this kind of tribalism, where it's not like I dislike you because of your ideas. It's I hate you because you're on a different tribe. That's it. It's like Like with the election last time, it's like people didn't want Joe Biden. They just unelected Trump.
Yeah.
It's like it just kind of breeds this tribalist mentality where there's no trying to come together with each other to understand. There is no talking it out. It is my tribe versus yours.
Yeah.
And
So now I got a really good one for long. Actually, it's I want to say, and I almost don't quote me on this, but it was something like 90% of African Americans voted blue. I don't know what you voted. We're not going to get into that. You're still in the military, but going back to resilience in the face of adversity, how was your journey essentially? Because by the sounds of it, I mean you're in the army. You could probably look up the statistic of how many blue people are in the army.
Yeah.
But in even you being in this conversation kind of shows that you're not left leaning. You're
Yeah.
obviously open minded. So I'm just kind of curious how you kind of escape the tribalism kind of deal.
I just, for the most part, I guess I'm good at like seeing bullshit, right? So like, and that just I just fucking called the entire left bullshit. But
I'd
like,
agree with
I feel like, if you got something that's considered two evils, right? Like fucking Republicans and Democrats. If you got two evils, I feel like the best thing to do is to look at both of them like literally in depth. Like, don't just take, all right, this is what one Democrat said, and this is what one Republican said, and that affects your entire
Opinion.
looking for. Yeah, it takes your entire view of that party as a whole, right? So then I guess in that as well, it goes in how I was raised. So like my fucking family's like conservative and shit like that. We're all like, you know, I guess you could say like gun toting fucking country ass Americans. So like
Shook him up.
yeah, fucking shut them up and shut them down.
Yes, sir.
So like
Farmer Reedy.
yeah. So like a lot of what the left is going for, I just don't necessarily agree with. I never have, and you know, so
So basically,
I
have
mean
you
that's
ever
pretty much
ran into a
it. Like,
situation where someone basically judged the book by the cover and kind of just assumed your position or something like where you know what I'm saying, like
oh, I mean,
almost you know what I'm saying, like hey he's mixed so he's probably on my side or something.
yeah, oh yeah, definitely, and that goes into like that goes into a lot of stuff I don't want to get into right now because obviously there was a stigma fucking for like a couple of years about like being either black or half black or whatever in America or like being anything other than white. And I feel like that shit was taken like way overboard, but like still there is that like being half black or black, people automatically look at you and assume, something. But that I mean that could be said for most people. Like I
Okay.
could look at you and, think you're right or think you're left without any knowledge. It's just yeah, judging a book by its
Nice.
cover. It
Yeah.
happens a lot.
Yeah, that's a good answer, man. Wow, yeah, I'm very impressed with that answer. I'm glad you. That was really good, man. I'm tough. That felt really good to hear, man. What you got there?
So I'll kind of share how I escaped a little bit of a tribalist thing, I'd call it. So like I grew up in Colorado, right? In kind of the suburbs of Denver. It's a very blue area. And it's so blue. It was like any issue that it was just kind of like a given that you would agree with what the left's messaging was. And I would imagine it's probably the same in the black community because it's the same dynamic where you're just kind of assumed to agree with these people, right?
Yeah.
So like let's say abortion, right? I used to be a super pro-choice guy. I was like, that doesn't make like it literally, dude, it didn't make sense to me why people were against abortion because that argument is not even allowed to be presented. It's like I just didn't even understand. I never heard the counter argument to what I believed in. And it wasn't until I want to say 23 or 24, and I was watching a video of a dude talking about abortion, and he explained why people don't like it. And like I'm thinking the whole time, I'm like, dude, this dude makes sense. Like nothing that he's agreeing with seems like anything outlandish. Like I may not like necessarily agree with it then, but at least I could like he could substantiate his points, you know? And that kind of forced me to examine, like, okay, I believe this, right? Why? It's like the Socratic method we were talking about at this point. I believe this. Why? And I'm like, well, I don't know. It's just kind of
most answers are like I grew up that way, or my parents said it, or I mean that's really
yeah.
most
It's
answers.
like I just kind of thought that because that's what everyone thought, you know.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I actually sat down and tried to understand what the other side was, you know, where they're coming from, that I was able to kind of get a whole kind of picture, like get the whole argument, and then formulate my own opinion.
Yeah.
But the you go ahead.
So basically, yeah, I could touch on that too because I grew up south suburbs of Chicago. If you couldn't tell, gang, gang.
Had
Uh,
no idea.
so it obviously it's definitely left leaning, but my family is more right leaning, and it was hard to to be against either side. It was a lose lose. It almost felt for me. If I was against Democrats, now I go to school and I'm fucked. If I'm against Republicans, I come home and I'm fucked. Like it's a lose lose. So essentially, what ended up happening was I lost my best friend for 18 years, Jacob, or your family, Kairos, if you're listening. Tell him hit me up. But it was all over all these viewpoints that were more right leaning, and I didn't understand the other side because I never opened up my ears, and it eventually that's what that's how I lost my best friend. This dude I've been so close with. So that was my kind of eye opening experience to where I now have to listen to both sides. I really do, because if I don't, I'm gonna end up losing half of the world essentially. Because realistically, man, if you're in one of those tribes, if you're in the left or right tribe, the left isn't going to want to speak to the right. The right's barely going to want to speak to the left. So you're immediately cutting out 50% of your network that you could potentially have.
But the
Immediately.
important point, though, is like you could only do that because you wanted to see both sides of the argument.
Yes, correct. Yes, correct. So basically, yeah, you're right. Yeah. So I had
That's
that
what
eye
was
opening experience to where I was able to open it all up. Yeah. And it's basically really, and actually, we could touch on this. I don't know what podcast I was reading. I think it was, or not reading, listening to. I think it was a Soul Bra, but he was talking about basically once you develop empathy all the way, you now have a better understanding of the world.
that's the dangerous part about this tribalist mindset is you have no empathy for the other side. They might as well be less than human to your side, you know? And you also, when that happens, don't try and seek the opinion because you view that other side as less. It's like I don't see very many people, like I know we talk about both sides, but I don't see very many people on the left going on right podcasts. I see right podcasts inviting left guests, but they never come on. And it's like all that you're doing in that is just getting people more entrenched in your own opinion, and they don't see how dangerous that actually is.
Yeah, Long, you got something?
I think that what you said really like hit the nail on the head. Like you lose half of your network. Like you lose half of this entire other viewpoint that you could be learning from. You could be coming together and creating an equal like that. You really could have one party. Like you could have like it
United,
fucking be
bro.
really hard. You could be really hard, but if you listen to both sides, right? You actually take shit in, fucking analyze it, you know, don't just throw 99% of it away. You could have one party and fucking unite everybody like under fucking one roof essentially.
Yeah, and
And
go ahead, bro.
another thing about that too is like viewpoints like that where you're either afraid or you hate the other side so much that you don't want to listen to anything. That's what breeds like extremism. Like I mean pretty much like the people that they go out and fucking like shoot up fucking places or some shit like that. Obviously, not all of it is like based off of shit like that, but some of it is because somebody has such an extreme view of like whether it be political or racial, their view is so extreme because of their closed off mindset that it causes them to go do shit like that.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
so
saying?
on that Jocko podcast with Jordan Peterson tapped into the note that one of the Columbine kids left. And I don't remember it fully, but it was something like I can see it was like I could see all the evil in the world and I'm embracing it, basically. And if that ain't extreme, I don't know what the fuck is. You know
Are
what I'm
you
saying,
guys
bro?
are you guys familiar with the dude called Daryl Davis?
No.
Basically, Long, you familiar with him?
No, I'm not.
So he was a dude that was trying to kind of understand racism, and like how can someone hate me if they don't know me, right? And so like it's a crazy story that I think everyone should hear. But like
Oh,
basically,
is
you
that the
probably
dude? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Is
know.
that the dude who like acted? He was a black guy, right?
Mhm.
And he got in touch with like the fucking Grand Dragon of the clan or something like that.
Yeah, the head of
Yeah,
the
yeah,
entire clan. He went up
Wow.
and was able to get him to leave the clan along with like I want to say it's at least 200 other people. And it's his entire message is like the only way that we're going to get rid of this issue is with conversation. And I think it's a remarkable thing. It's like if you can get people out of the clan, like this isn't like just some racist or like someone who makes an off race joke but is pretty cool with everyone. Like these are like legit, card carrying, fucking robes and
Yeah.
all this shit, Klansmen, and these people were able to get back to reality. And it's like that he could only do that because of the conversation that he's had. But I agree with you. I think lack of conversation just breeds that further extremism.
yep.
Yeah, I think that's a good spot for us to stop long. Do you want to just tap into some bodybuilding shit? Let's start talking about that.
Uh,
You got anything you,
yeah. I
you
mean,
kind
yeah,
of
it's
been
such a
listening to, or who you've been following recently? Throw in some info here.
okay. So yeah, as you guys know, I'm predominantly into powerlifting. So, um, I've been taking like big inspiration and reading a lot of articles from Dr. Jordan Feigenbaum and Dr. Austin Baraki. Those two dudes are like really fucking knowledgeable on like not only muscle science but like the musculoskeletal system and how it actually works, how it affects your training and shit like that, as well as like just form tips, things along those lines. And they have I believe they actually have a podcast too. I know they have a website, but it's called Barbell Medicine, and they have like a massive amount of articles, information on
Is it free?
different subjects. Yeah, yeah, it's free.
That's a link we'll
Yeah.
include, bro.
Okay, yeah, for
Yeah, for
sure. Yeah,
sure,
they
bro.
could,
Yeah, get that info out.
those dudes are super knowledgeable on like everything fitness related, really. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's what the degrees are in.
So, those of you who don't know, I think Long knows and Taylor both know. I've attacked the fitness industry more in a bodybuilding standpoint, just because powerlifting, there's no way I can keep up with that with my body. The longevity just doesn't seem feasible for me. Like, there's no way. Uh, and I listened to Mountain Dog. I don't know you know him. He recently
Yeah.
passed. That's my boy. I listen to him so fucking much. And then Seth Rosie has a couple really good videos out there too. He's a really good person to follow, just for bodybuilding, but just for people who like don't work out on a regular basis or aren't in the routine yet of working out or want to. Just like the beginner. Do you have anything you'd say to them, or anything you'd give it? What advice you give them, or some lessons you learned in your training, Daily? You could touch on it after long, I guess.
Yeah, so a lot of people definitely like starting training. Like, I know I definitely did this, and they'd be like, "All right, I'm gonna start next week," right? Or they feel like Monday's a big one, right? You know what I'm saying? Like Monday is the beginning of a new week. Fucking, you know, it could go good, could go bad. It's like that's a bad mentality to have because if you're gonna have that, you're honestly just gonna prolong your, what's the word?
Like your end, pretty much.
Delaying your
Yeah,
progress.
kind of. Yeah, you're delaying your progress, you're
Yeah, there you go.
procrastinating. So like just if you're gonna start training, if you want to, you know, lose weight, gain muscle, whatever you want to do, just start. Right? You can start right fucking now. You don't need anything to do it. You
Click
can just
that link
start push ups,
below
sit
and
ups.
get to motherfucking work.
Yeah, you can start push ups, sit ups, pull ups, whatever you have the means to be able to do. And I know a lot of people definitely have a lot of problems with anxiety when it comes to the gym, especially if you're like a heavier person. If you need to lose some weight, because I know that shit for a fact. I was about 230, 240 pounds as a teenager, and I was like, all right, I want to join the army. I need to get fit. And then as soon as I step in the gym and I see all these fit dudes, fit women, and stuff like that, I instantly get a fuck ton of anxiety, right? Because I know I don't look like them. And at the time, I was telling myself through anxiety that like, oh, I'm probably never gonna look like these dudes and shit like that. So that's like a lot of perspective. You know, everybody's in the gym to get better. You know, whether you're trying to gain weight, lose weight, you're there to get better, and nobody else is looking at you, looking down on you
Yeah.
because of whatever
Yeah,
it
and
is.
it's very, very, very important to note that, and especially I think this a lot. Anyone I see in the gym is immediately better than anyone I don't see in the gym. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
Anyone
Yeah.
who is in there is immediately a step ahead of almost 95% of America, bro. You know what I'm saying? Anyone who's willing to get themselves up and go to the gym, you're on the right track to success. Any rich person, any successful person starts with the gym. So I think it's very, very important to note that anyone who sees you in the gym doing this, they see you as more of a person like, hey, I was in their shoes once. I was in their shoes once. I did that. I was there too. I'm glad they started this journey. I'm more than happy to see a new person in the gym, bro. And especially through this podcast, if Long gets someone, affected or hits someone in the heart with it and they start going to the gym, bro, money, straight money. You know what I'm saying? So I really like how you added that in because I do think that is one of the biggest problems I face too. And I was a skinny motherfucker on the complete opposite end of the spectrum. But go
Yeah,
ahead, Dale.
it's like that for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just think it's a great thing to know. Like, no one's gonna look at a fat person at the gym and think anything negative of them. Like, that would be like going to a psychiatrist and making fun of people for being there at all. You know, it's like it to me. It takes some fucking nuts when you're overweight to even get in the gym. You know, like that's an extremely commendable thing, and I think that it's a problem people have anxiety over, which I totally understand. I was there, but it's just such a beneficial thing, man, and no one's thinking anything less of you for being fat in the gym. One thing I think that's really kind of important to touch on too is like how increasing your health and fitness has so much carryover to anything really. So whether it be weightlifting or I used to be a runner, so I was big into cardio, let's say, no matter what you're doing, you're developing some type of like grit and resiliency, and you develop, it's almost kind of weird, you start to develop a gratitude for being able to train and then for other things in life that you already have that you've worked for, and it kind of carries over to you being more confident, more assertive where you need to be, just kind of an overall healthier person. So it's not like you're going to the gym just to drop your body fat percentage. You're dropping your body fat percentage so you can be more confident. You can live longer. You can live a healthier life. You can play with your grandkids. It's something that I think has a lot of secondary benefits that don't really get touched on a lot. Um, like I've seen it. So like I've only been lifting weights seriously for about 6 months. I was cutting down body fat for a while. Now I'm trying to build muscle. But like even in the 5 or 6 months I've been working on building muscle, it's insane the difference to me. Like I'm sure you could touch on this, Brennan. People are nicer to fucking muscular dudes. It
That's true.
says something about you that you are capable of going through hardship and suffering, and you're able to do it. I think
Um,
it's just crazy how the benefits carry over.
Before you pass it on to someone else, you want to just talk real quick about your journey too. I know you were a little bigger. Just kind of give
Oh
people
yeah, yeah,
that.
yeah. So when I got out of when I got to the unit, I put on a lot of weight, and then I was just kind of like stuck, you know. And then
The
a dude
unit
named
meaning
what's up?
the unit meaning the army for those who don't know.
Yeah. So when I got done with all my training, let's say, because that was the first time that no one was really forcing me to exercise, it was just all on me. And I put on a lot of weight. And this dude that we work with, Chris, hoping to have him on one day, he goes, Taylor, what are you doing to lose weight? And I'm like, fucking, I don't know, dude. And like legit, I didn't know. I was just trying to eat less, I guess. And so he plugged me into my fitness pal, and that got me able to finally lose weight. And then I started running again, or running really, got really into that. Stopped doing that, and then I put on a lot more weight after I stopped running, which makes sense. And I got up. I want to say I was like 220. It was probably the heaviest I ever been. And then I just kind of was sick of it, to be honest with you, because it's taxing, man. It's like I'm capable of so much more than that. So I went from I want to say 220 to I want to say what I say it was like 177, 178.
178, yeah.
Yeah, now I'm kind of back into my muscle building phase, which is like it's a big problem. I think a lot of guys who were once fat, you know, I'm sure you speak on this too. But like if you were fat one time, it's hard to gain like to want to eat more, you know, to put on muscle. You're just so afraid of getting fat again, you know.
Yeah, I definitely know what you mean by that because I was on a bulk for like probably like the last 4 months, and I was doing my fucking best to like eat enough meals, right? But I just cannot consume 6 to 7 meals a day. Like it just doesn't feel right at all, right? So I can definitely see where you're coming from with that because like I'm afraid that I'm just gonna gain body fat, right? Instead of gaining muscle mass and shit like that. And what you said earlier about like people treating like muscular dudes better, right? Or like being nicer to them. You definitely like your body is it's honestly like you're pretty much your first impression on
That's your
somebody,
book
right?
cover. That's
Like
your book
you're
cover.
you're
It's kind
walking
of
up like before even the like talking between somebody happens, like say with a woman or something like that, you're walking up to the woman, the first thing she's gonna see is you. You haven't said a word yet. Or
You
like
want to see these
going
motherfucking
to
biceps, bro?
you go into damn
Yeah,
like
yeah.
job interviews or for like or for like even for like the board. Like I'm getting ready to go to the board. Like it automatically shows those all those first sergeants up there. Like I am disciplined, right? To a certain extent. Like that's what working out, fitness, and all that stuff it does. It breeds like a discipline within you that it's really kind of hard to find without some type of like fitness journey or something like that. It's one
Real
of the
quick,
easiest ways to gain discipline.
can you explain the board what you're talking about in case people don't
Thank
know?
you. Yeah, thank you.
Sorry about that.
No, it's all good.
So the promotion board within the Army, once you reach the rank of E4, to progress past that to become a sergeant and on upward to staff sergeant, sergeant first class, you have to go to the promotion board where all of these E8s or first sergeants, as well as the sergeant major of your unit, will be there, and they're just going to ask you questions. Um, they're going to test your knowledge. They're going to, you know, they're basically going to see if you are ready to be a leader, right? And a big aspect of being able to lead, in my opinion, is like being fit. Because you can't be a fat non-commissioned officer and tell some E4 that he needs to lose weight or that he's doing something wrong, right? You have to lead by example. So
Yeah.
even not even in the military, like as a civilian in whatever you're doing, like leading by example. Well, fitness is a big part of leading by example, right? People are gonna essentially like listen to you more because they can see that, like I said, that discipline within you, right?
It's
They're gonna
almost
feel like
like
you're
yeah,
probably
it's
giving good
almost like
information.
your credentials are on display.
Yeah,
Like
kind of,
it
yes.
essentially is what it is. It's almost like my resume's right here.
It's the
So
Yeah,
first
right.
line.
yeah, hey, my
Yeah.
resume's
Do
right
you
here. I
lift?
got 2 pecs, 2 guns. No, no.
Sick fucking icons.
Yeah, yeah. No, I completely agree. Once you see that person that obviously looks more fit and takes care of themselves more than the other, that person's more inclined to succeed in life in general. You'll see as a person who eventually wants to be his own boss and hopefully the boss of others in my friend's family, I personally don't want someone who doesn't have that discipline of going to the gym in the morning. Everyone, I'm telling you right now, everyone who's going to work with me is going to be fit. Because not only can you see it, it breeds discipline, it also breeds conversation. Because there ain't nothing like going to the gym with your buddy, hitting a sick pump, then going to work. Or hitting it after work, then going to get something to eat. Or on a Saturday, you guys don't work. You want to hit the gym. You breed more connection, breed more net worth, and that's I think that's almost just as important as discipline.
I agree.
Yeah, completely agree.
That puts us at 55 minutes, fellas.
I think that's a good time to wrap.
Yeah, you guys,
Yeah.
you got anything you want to say, Long, before we cut it off here? Anything you want to add? Anything you want to say to the people, who you want to touch or something? You know,
Um,
I mean,
basically, yeah. So like something really quick. Like if you're telling yourself you want to do something, go ahead and do it. Right? There's no greater time than now, and that goes for anything. Start now before you either lose interest or you get other problems that inhibit you from doing what you want to do. You know, gain knowledge, get bigger, get stronger, whatever you're trying to do it now. Don't wait.
some good shit, bro. Gave me
That's
the
about it.
chills. Goddamn. Taylor, you got something you want to add?
Yeah, no, I think it's like working out, just like anything in life that takes a long time to achieve. It's not you going from 0 to 50 to 100. It's a quarter of a percent at each time, and it takes a long time. And so I think it's just kind of important to focus on those kind of small actionable steps that you can do. So make a Twitter page for an idea you had. Get a website, registered to your name. If you're struggling in the gym, go to the gym and literally walk on the treadmill. It's the easiest shit you can ever do. But it's those small baby steps that are really going to carry it forward. And no one's going to do it for you. No one's going to make you successful. No one is going to go to the gym for you. Some things in life you just have to nut up and execute. So I think that's important to do, and it starts with those small actionable steps.
So
Thank you.
yeah, you could kind of tie both of you guys together. I mean, Long's saying just do it now, and you're saying it takes time. Time is the one
Yeah.
thing you can't get back, and one thing you can't gain more of. So
Yeah, I'm
do it
saying like
now.
start now 'cause it's going to take a
Yeah.
little bit.
No, I understand. I'm just saying. I mean, you could tie both of
Yeah.
those together right away, just because that time is of the essence, baby. Get to work. Start now. If you don't start now, you got that anxiety again tomorrow. You got that depression again tomorrow. I agree. Start now. I did prepare a quote. Actually, the quote kind of fell in my hands. I called Tommy before the show, so this is a quote from him. I asked him before I hung up, just like it was a show, just like it was a podcast. You got any quotes or anything you want to kind of say? Because he wasn't able to get on, and his quote says, "True desire in the heart for anything good is God's proof to you set beforehand to indicate it's already yours." And that was by Denzel Washington. I'll
It
say it one more
sounds
time.
good.
True desire in the heart for anything good is God's proof to you, sent beforehand to indicate it's already yours. Follow your passions, fellas. Stay in the gym. Let's get big. How about it? All right.
Yes, sir.
Peace.